3D printing is one of the fastest growing industries in manufacturing technology. Because of this growth, there's a variety of printing methods and machine types available. To begin, I'd like to walk you through some of the most common printing methods used today. The first method, known as fused deposition modeling, or FDM, takes a long coiled strand of plastic and pushes it through a heated nozzle. This process is really similar to using a hot glue gun, where the material is pushed through the hot tip and is applied to a surface. In this same way, an FDM printer pushes the material through the heated nozzle while the nozzle head moves about in a pattern in the shape of the part. This means that the nozzle moves along two axes in a single plane. This is done for a single layer at a time. Then the build plate that the part's printed on moves downward, so the next layer can be printed on top of the last one. The build plate moving vertically is the third axis of motion. The next method, known as stereolithography, or SLA, is very different from the last method. In stereolithography, a laser is projected into a pool of liquid resin and hardens the resin at specific spots, which forms the shape of the part layer by layer. The laser is controlled by mirrors that move underneath the pool of resin. This means that only the build plate moves upward and downward in a single axis. These two methods are the most common for smaller benchtop models. However, there are more advanced forms of 3D printing. The process known as selective laser sintering, or SLS, is similar to stereolithography, but instead directs a laser in 3D space and hardens a powder at the contact point. A laser is still used in this process to produce a solid part. However, it interacts with a powder instead of a liquid resin. A subgroup of SLS is known as selective laser melting, or SLM, which uses a laser once again to melt and fuse metallic powders together. This process is used to create metal parts in particular, where SLS can't achieve this result. In the next video, I'll discuss how these different printing methods are incorporated into today's 3D printing machines. You'll learn why some of the printers have an open or closed printing area, as well as why some machines are larger than others. Because the different printing methods vary quite a bit, the 3D printing machines also vary in size and structure. An FDM printer, such as this Ultimaker 3 model, has an open build area that's accessible during the printing process. This helps the heat dissipate during the print by increasing airflow. It also gives the build plate a much larger distance to move downward, which means you can print taller parts. Since FDM is one of the most common printing methods, many companies package their printers in benchtop size models that don't take up a ton of room and can be moved without too much difficulty. However, there are much larger versions of FDM printers available, which can print much larger parts and can print thicker spools of material at a faster rate. One advantage of FDM printers is that multiple spools of material can be printed in the same part. This allows for one type of material to create the main structure of the part, while a second water-soluble material can be printed for the supports and then later dissolved away once the part's finished printing. Or, if you want to use multiple colors in a single part, two different color spools can be used to intermix them in the printing process. An SLA printer, such as this Formlabs 2, has an enclosed area that keeps debris and other foreign objects from entering. Because the resin needs to be consistent in order for the laser to harden the liquid, floating debris or other objects can't be allowed to get mixed in. This could disrupt the printing process or even damage the machine. The contained space is temperature regulated, so having a closed build area is not an issue for SLA printers. This printer type is also incredibly common in the market and is packaged as a small benchtop model that can be moved around if needed. However, there are also much larger SLA printers that can produce incredibly high-quality parts that are fairly large scale. The other printing methods, such as SLS and SLM, typically are housed in much larger printers because the processes are more complex and require more parts. One advantage of using these larger, more sophisticated machines is that you can print some of the highest quality parts, eliminating the need for other manufacturing methods. They also can handle materials other than plastic, such as an SLM printer creating metal parts. These machines come at a much higher price point, and are typically used by companies that offer 3D printing services. With these different printers available on the market today, your designs can be made real in your own home in just a matter of hours. Imagine how this technology will continue to evolve and make some of the most complex products available at your fingertips.